This morning, John Bradshaw from It Is Written is with us here today to share an inspiring message.
Hey, it's great to see you. I'm John Bradshaw from It Is Written. I'm thrilled that we have a moment here, and I want to share something with you that I hope will encourage you and encourage your day, maybe even your week. When I wore a younger man's clothes, I traveled from my home country in New Zealand to London, England. It was a well-worn path. It was a rite of passage for young Kiwis. You leave home, you travel to Europe for a few years, you live in London, you earn pounds, they go a long way, you have fun, maybe too much fun, maybe not all good, but you know, young worldly kids seeing the world for the first time, travel the continent, go to places you've never been before, see what you've never seen before, and then go home to New Zealand and pick your life up and live responsibly. That was the plan. So I traveled to London, England. I remember arriving at Victoria Station. We flew into Gatwick. That's southwest, I think, southwest of London, a little way out. Got on the Gatwick Express. That train took us to Victoria Station, a friend and I. And then I had to figure out how to get to Wimbledon because my friend Nick was living in Wimbledon, and my good friend John and I were going down to Wimbledon, and we're going to stay with Nick while we got on our feet and found a job and then found a place to live. Easy peasy. So the challenging part came when we got to Victoria Station, got off the Gatwick Express, looked around, never been in an airport, a railway station nearly this big, gigantic thing. It's a very, very busy station. And so we realized we had to go to the district line, the green line on the London Underground on the tube map, and that would take us to Wimbledon, same place where the tennis is played. So we were going to Wimbledon, but we had to get to Wimbledon. We had to take the subway, the tube, in order to get there. No problem. So I recall going to this ticket machine, see the tube map, and there's people everywhere, and there's a ticket machine. I had to figure out how to navigate the ticket machine. Never seen one like it in my life. Figured it out, got a ticket. So then had to go through the turnstiles. You put in the ticket, the gates open, flip like that, and then you got to go through and pick up your ticket on the other side. You're familiar with that. So I've got a pack on my back, a bag over this shoulder, a bag over that shoulder, and a bag in each hand. And I think a camera around my neck. I was the size of the Michelin Man. And I went up to the turnstile, put in my ticket. The machine grabbed it, it popped up at the other side, the little barrier doors flipped open like that, and I tried to go through. And man, I couldn't fit, I was this wide, I couldn't get through. I had all these bags hanging off me. And so I turned to go sideways, but I didn't have a sideways because I was just as wide sideways practically, and then the doors closed, bloop, and all the people are backing up behind me, and I'm standing there thinking, oh man, welcome to London. What am I going to do? It was morning. There were plenty of people. I don't think it was rush hour, but it couldn't have been much after that. People everywhere, and I'm stuck. My ticket's on the other side. The door opened and closed. What do? It was then that a man from the London Underground called to me. Mate, he said, mate, over here. So I went over there. He said, you're never going to get through there with all that baggage. You're never going to get through. Oh, no, that's not what he said. He said, you're never going to get through that narrow gate with all that baggage. Interesting, he would say that. Jesus talks about us getting through the narrow gate. And one of the reasons we find it hard to squeeze through is because of all of our baggage, you know? It says in Hebrews 12 and verse 1, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us. Sometimes, many times, most of the time, maybe all the time, that which is preventing us from having a closer walk with Jesus, a more satisfying Christian experience, a better life, is the baggage we carry around. Just baggage. You'll hear about this person who doesn't get on with that person. And why? Well, because that person said, did, thought, broke, whatever the case might be. Okay, so that person did, but what you've got is baggage. You can afford to just let it go. Well, I don't want to let it go. Okay, so you want to carry your heavy baggage and try and get through that narrow gate that I was trying to get through. It just cannot be done. Sometimes it's the lifestyle that we choose. We are less interested in God than we might be because we've allowed ourselves to get distracted by all this stuff. You know, according to the Bible, sin can be pleasurable. It talks about Moses forsaking the pleasures of sin for a season. It's all seasonal. The reason I say this is because this is the where the rubber meets the road part of Christianity. You want to walk with Jesus, but sometimes you're tripping yourself up by putting a stumbling block before your own feet. It might just be the baggage. We want to get through a narrow gate. What do we do about our lifestyle? We've learned to love the secular. You know what you can do? You can learn to love the spiritual. You can. That person who's killing themselves eating, I'm going to be stereotypical, burgers and fries every day, that person needs to put away the burgers and fries and start eating broccoli. Now, is broccoli, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, are they naturally going to appeal to the person who's accustomed their taste buds to appreciate burgers and fries? And again, I'm generalizing here. You understand what I'm saying, right? You have a ghastly diet, suddenly you want to eat a salad, something low fat. What that takes is dedication and application and a little training. And before long, you're going to love edamame and you're going to love, green stuff prepared well. You're going to love it because it's magnificent. But if you've trained yourself to love something else, then there's a very good chance that you won't love what actually loves you. You see what I'm saying? So you can be somebody wrestling with Christianity. You'd like to be a Christian, but it leaves you a little cold. It might just be all that baggage you're carrying around. It might be because you're spending so much time in secular stuff. I mean, you're going to go to church and sit in the Bible study class and be turned on by that when the rest of your waking hours you're watching multi-million-dollar productions on Netflix. How does a Bible teacher compare with movies that cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make? You see, you're teaching yourself not to love the things of God because of the baggage in your life. Sometimes it's bitterness. That's baggage, man. Grudges that you're holding against other people. That's just baggage. The way you approach life, sometimes just filled with baggage. So you know what we need to do if we want to get through that narrow gate? Lay aside the weight and the sin that doth so easily beset us. We go to Jesus, we say, you know what I'm ready for? I'm ready for you to take out of my life all the junk that shouldn't be in there. There may be some things that are preventing me from appreciating you and walking closely with you. Take them away. Have you ever had a conversation with God like that? If you haven't, it's time. We talk to God and we say, Lord, I want to lay aside the weight. If there's something preventing me from getting through that narrow gate, I want to yield it. I want to give it up. I want to give it back. I'll give it over to you. Take that away and then give me something to replace that and help me to love that. Teach me to love that. And he'll do that. I eventually got through that narrow gate, dragged myself and my bags to a district line train, and we trundled from Victoria Station all the way down to Wimbledon. We met up with my friend Nick, got set up, established, and then moved out and moved on. Taught me something. You can't get through the narrow gate if you're carrying a bunch of baggage. It's true for salvation. Salvation is, according to God, a narrow gate. Doesn't mean it's difficult or onerous, but it's narrow. If there are some things that you need to lay aside, lay them aside. Thank God that you're able to, and watch God bless your life. Great to see you. God bless you.